So I'll just get into this arrest that we had here. So after receiving complaints and community concerns about safety and drug trafficking in the downtown area and the community of Point Douglas, the Organized Crime Division responded twofold. Number one, street level enforcement and interaction by the Guns and Gangs unit was increased. And number two, the Drug Enforcement Unit was asked to identify and investigate individuals who may be responsible for the increased criminality in both areas. In June of this year, members of the Drug Enforcement Unit identified individuals responsible for the trafficking of methamphetamine and fentanyl in Winnipeg. The Drug Enforcement Unit also believed these same individuals may have been involved in a firearms incident days prior. As the investigation progressed, the Guns and Gangs Unit identified two individuals who were importing kilogram quantities of methamphetamine into Winnipeg. A variety of individuals from both groups was observed meeting in the area of Waterfront Drive on several occasions. On July 26, officers observed a male and female to carry multiple bags, a cooler, and a heavy hockey bag into an address on Sherbourne Street. During the morning hours of July 27th, a CDSA search warrant was executed at this address. 34.5 kilograms of drugs was seized, which includes 28 kilograms of methamphetamine. During the afternoon of July 27th, 4 more search warrants were executed, 2 in a 500 block of Waterfront Drive, 1 in a 300 block of Coppell Avenue, and 1 in a 400 block of Cumberland Avenue. As a result of these 4 search warrants, an additional 8 kilograms of illicit drugs was seized, 6 of which being methamphetamine. Furthermore, 1 loaded Glock 9mm restricted handgun with an obliterated serial number and 1 loaded 9mm polymer 80 restricted handgun with no serial number was seized. A prohibited threaded silencer capable of fitting both handguns was also seized. It should be noted a fingerprint of an accused was lifted off the silencer. A pellet gun and taser was also seized. In full, approximately 33 kilograms of methamphetamine, 4.5 kilograms of cocaine, over 4 kilograms of edibles containing unknown drugs and chemicals at this time, 3 ounces of fentanyl, 1 ounce of crack cocaine, 2 loaded handguns, and 30,000 in Canadian currency was all seized. We believe that one individual arrested is closely associated to an organized crime group based in Montreal. The total estimated street value of drugs seized is roughly $5.4 million. All individuals were detained in custody. Thank you. Yeah, we're seeing more. The polymer 80 is it's a 80% finished printed gun from the United States, and really it requires 20% finishing when it gets into Canada. But in regards to actual 3D printed guns, yeah, we're seeing more of it. We're seizing more guns and more, I should say, more receivers this year especially. Well, I've asked, in the last 2 years, we've changed our mandate here to go to mid-level trafficking and try and get large quantities of drugs off the street to make sure we're getting the right people, A, arrested, and then B, they're getting the proper jail time to prevent this. I find it, in my wildest dreams, I didn't think, and I say this with all due respect because the officers in this unit are great and they're working really well, but they're, for the most part, junior officers, and they're seizing kilograms and kilograms of drugs off the street. This is every 2 or 3 months we're seizing 30, 40, 50, 60 kilos. In the last 2 years, we're probably between the Drug Enforcement Unit and the Guns and Gangs Unit between 200 and 300 kilos in the last 2 years, which in my 23 and a half years of policing, I'm alarmed by it. It's a lot of drugs to be coming off the street. Usually this is when you do a long-term project, you get these types of results. But now every 2 or 3 months, this is what the Guns and Gangs unit and the Drug Enforcement unit are seizing off the street. So we have a clear drug problem and drug issue in this country, not just in the city. Well, so it should be clear, we changed our mandate and we changed the direction we are going because we saw an increase in drug activity on the street. Not just trafficking, but obviously addictions issues, homelessness issues, the health crisis. So we changed our mandate to try and get the people who are actually bringing the drugs into the city and creating this problem in the community. We wanted to arrest them. So that's why you're seeing the larger amounts. 5, 6, 7 years ago, we were focused on street level trafficking. And really what that comes down to is, it becomes marginalized policing, really, and you're over policing certain areas of the city. And so before I got here, there was a change, but once I got here, I made it clear we were going to pull away from that. We still do street level enforcement, obviously. We're not going to change that, stop that, but our focus now is on mid-level trafficking to prevent this type of weight coming into the city. It does, and I believe in this type of enforcement. So, is it going to stop drug trafficking? No, obviously not. But what it does after a seizure like this, for generally 7 to 14 days, there's a deflation in drug activity in the city. But more importantly, and something we've realized in the last couple of years, when you take a large amount of drugs like this off the street, gun violence goes down. And we had an incident last night for the first time. And then as we started this project, you'll recall there was a shooting incident where a projectile was fired. It went into a car and 2 kids were hurt. They weren't hit with a bullet, but the glass in there injured the kids. So, I thought that was really alarming. It didn't gain a lot of traction in the community here for whatever reason, but that was part of the reason for this as well. Like, if you take this off the street, generally our gun violence seems to go down. It's for a variety of reasons. Obviously, the people in this community and this trade are worried about what police are doing, so they'll stop and cool things off. But the benefit of this is, for us in Winnipeg anyways, is gun activity seems to go down. Yeah, one of the individuals, I'm comfortable saying, has ties or associations to organized crime in Montreal. Um, I can't, I don't know if he's providing an address in Winnipeg saying he's living here, or if he's coming to and from Quebec. So there is a organized crime link to this for the bigger seizure. The other individuals, really, there was a gun incident in the city. We thought we identified the individuals, and when we started to look into the gun activity, the drug trafficking was going on. These individuals were meeting in the Point Douglas area and in the Waterfront Drive area, which explains Project Watchtower. There's a circular building. If you go over the Israeli bridge, uh, we call it a watchtower. They seem to be meeting in and around that area. And um, so to answer your question, yes, there's a link to organized crime out east, and then the individuals that were arrested are, some of them are known to us being involved in gangs or gang activity. We've notified the authorities out there. I'll leave it at that. For the title Watchtower, I think we're going to be finished with this. It's not going to stop us from policing the downtown and Point Douglas area. As of yesterday, another community member had legitimate concerns about what was going on in the community with drug trafficking again. So this will be a never-ending process for us. But There's one thing I can say is I've been pushing the federal government to change some of the gun laws, and it doesn't change with the drugs. My entire policing career has been in investigations in this area, and I've never seen more illicit drugs on the street. So, from a federal level, we need a push here to try and combat this as well. Well, there's a bill in play right now, and it's going to be the bill proposes that 3D printed receivers will be prohibited, and then you're going to restrict the movement of gun parts. So the slides, the barrels, the trigger assemblies that you need to make the 3D guns and assemble them, those parts of the movement will be restricted. And so that bill is stalled right now again. I'm frustrated by it. I mean, even for 2 years, they've been asking for this. So if they can just pass that bill, it makes it easier for police to police this issue. It makes it easier for people who work in the gun trade, who have stores or armors or whatever, to watch us on their end as well. And just, I believe it'll cut down on gun violence. It'll make it harder for people to get 3D printed guns. C21, I believe it was. Yeah. Yeah. So, like I said, we're prepared. This is higher up than me in the police service and with the province, but I think really it's just getting the space provided here, which we have. As soon as that space is made available, construction will start. I don't think it's like I think it's a several months. It's not going to take long. It's not going to take years, for example. I mean, I think it'll be fairly quick. I'm not a part of the project committees here, so I don't really understand the construction side of it, but I don't believe it's going to take, from a provincial and city perspective, I don't think it'll take long. From my perspective and yours, it's probably too long. Like, how processes work, but we've asked for a rush on this, so that's the best answer I can give you. I don't have an actual date, but it'll be as quick as we can get it.